Hello BookTube, it's Ben here from the History Fellow channel again. Here today with this video, it's another weekly reads video. So I think this is the third one I'm up to now. But anyway, before I get started on that, I've just noticed before I came online this evening that we're up to 200 subscribers on the channel. So I would just like to say a huge thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. It's very much appreciated. I'm very thankful, and I think you're all wonderful and brilliant. From someone who thought he'd probably make 2 or 3 videos and then stop because people were finding them too boring or something like that. Kind of 200 subscribers is pretty amazing in my opinion. So again, thank you very much if you've subscribed, and I've met quite a lot of people through YouTube, and they're all really great guys and gals, and they're just brilliant. So thank you again. Right, I shall stop thanking everybody now. I hope everybody is well, fit and healthy. All your families are doing well, and hopefully you're having a good day weather-wise. Here we're not. It's quite miserable and grey and windy and a bit drizzly. So, but hopefully I've seen the weather forecast sort of the end of the week. For the next couple of weeks after that, it's looking good and sunshiny. Anyway, to the books. I probably said I was going to read 3 or 4 different books this time last week. Sadly to say, I haven't read probably any of them. I've got into growing my vegetables in my garden. This past couple of weeks I've spent so much time out in the garden growing that and planting all the seeds and rearranging all that, and I've spent all that time outside that when I go to bed at night all that fresh air has made me tired. So I haven't really done much reading this week. But what I have read is this book here, which is called Football's Great War. Association Football on the English Home Front from 1914 to 1918, written by Alexander Jackson, published by Pen and Sword Books, and this is £25. It's a nice thick book, but it's a really good book and it's quite easy to read. Alexander Jackson, it turns out, is the what's the name for it? He's the curator at the Football Museum here in Manchester in England. So he obviously knows his stuff, and he's been able to delve deep into all the past records and information and sources of information, and it's really good. It's a really riveting read. I particularly enjoyed all the pictures because he's put in like old postcards and posters. Pictures of old football strips and teams and that, and it's really quite an interesting read, and it takes you back to how football was, because in this country during the First World War, although cricket tried to go on whilst the Great War was on, the FA, or the Football Association, actually stopped football. They decided to make it not a professional game for the duration of the war. So you had lots of guys that were still wanting to play football, so it was kind of a bit piecemeal and back to the amateur roots of the game rather than professional ranks. Sorry, I got a bit of a cough this evening. But it's a really good book. I think even if you weren't really interested in sport, or maybe it's not your particular sport, you'd still find this interesting. It's quite good. and it's very well written, so I can highly recommend that. Football's Great War. Oh, didn't you hear what you got? A tickle in your throat. The other book I've read is The Escape of Jack the Ripper, The Full Truth About the Cover-Up and His Flight from Justice. That's published by Amberley Publishing, written by Jonathan Hainsworth and Christine Ward Algris. It follows the one of the suspects of Jack the Ripper, because as you might know, there's been many suspects in the Jack the Ripper case, and of course no one's ever found out who actually was Jack the Ripper, and they probably never will, because unless someone can find some concrete evidence that suspect A was the guilty man and the reasons for it, then they're never going to find that information now. But this follows the case that looks at one of the witnesses, or one of the possible suspects rather I should say, a Mr. Montague John Druitt. Now he was, I've heard some information about him before, and he's quite interesting, and they put together all the different their thoughts on the situation and try and point to various pieces of evidence. And apparently he ended up, it says on the book here, the book answers the question of why in 1888 Druitt, who was a barrister, part-time teacher and first-class cricketer, killed and mutilated women, driven into prostitution through social neglect. He escaped earthly justice by drowning himself in the Thames. So of course, you know, he's gone now, so I mean, unless relatives discover some sort of information that points to him being the suspect, then we're never really going to know. But it was a good book. I've heard quite a bit of the information before, but with the Jack the Ripper case, you're never going to find out the answers, so you're kind of left in some bemusement, really. So, but it's certainly a good read, and the two authors involved did put together some good sources of information about who they thought did it. So I've read those two, and I think that's about it for what I've read. Now then, of course, I'm a bit like a kid in a candy shop. You know, more books come in, and I want fancy reading it, and or this and that appeals to me, that sort of thing. So I end up, you know, sometimes I don't always get to read the books I want when I say I'm going to read them. But I've just started, these are the books I'm going to start reading this week. I've just started Naval Battles of the Second World War. Started this last night. The Atlantic and the Mediterranean, written by Leo Marriott. I like reading about the Navy because it doesn't get as written about as much as the land war and that sort of thing. So anything out on the waves quite appeals to me. So I've read the first couple of chapters so far, and it seems quite this might not sound like it makes sense, but it reads quite modern and clean. It's not over fussy, it gets to the point. So that's looking good, and that's published by Pen and Sword Books. I'm going to finish that over the next night or so. And then I've had some more books come in, although I've bought these books rather than had them donated by a publisher, and they are, and I'm into fiction here, which is strange for me. Some of you might have watched The Last Kingdom on Netflix. It's based on the books by Bernard Cornwell. The Last Kingdom. I'll read a bit at the back. Uhtred is an English boy born into the aristocracy of the 9th century Northumbria. Orphaned at 10, he is captured and adopted by a Dane and taught the Viking ways. Yet Uhtred's fate is indissolubly bound up with Alfred, King of Wessex, who rules over the only English kingdom to survive the Danish assault. The struggle between the English and the Danes and the strife between Christianity and paganism is the background to Uhtred's growing up. Marriage ties him to the Saxon cause, but when his wife and child vanish in the chaos of the Danish invasion, he is driven to face the greatest of the Viking chieftains in a battle beside the sea. There he discovers his true allegiance. And if you watch on Netflix, I think they've just finished series 5, and that's all they're going to make. But that is the end of the stories in the books. But I've found the Netflix series quite fascinating and interesting to read, so I thought I'd give the books a go. So that's what I'm going to start doing now. So I've got The Last Kingdom, and I've also got The Pale Horseman, and finally, these are just 3 of the books. I think there's about 9 or 10 altogether. And I've also got Sword of the Kings, all written by Bernard Cornwell. So I'm going to start them this week, and hopefully I'll stick to it and manage to make a good start on that. So there we go, that's my weekly reads at the moment. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've read any of these books, and please feel free to drop me some comments down below this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, then please do. Give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And once again, finally, before I go, a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. It's very much appreciated, and I think you're all wonderful. So I'll see you very soon with some more videos, probably in the next couple of days. So take care, and I'll see you next time.